playfully mocked him in front of his colleagues. When I saw his face, my smile quickly faded. Hey Reddit, longtime lurker here, but this is my first time actually posting. I wish it were under better circumstances, but I fear I might have just ruined my life, my marriage, everything. I don't know what to do, and honestly, I need any advice I can get. I know I'll probably get bashed here for what I did, and maybe I deserve it. But if anyone's willing to give me something helpful, I'd appreciate it. My name is Evelyn, and I'm 34 years old. My husband's name is Ray, and he's 33. We've been married for about 7 years, and overall, things have been good, at least in the beginning. We were that couple everyone admired, you know? The kind that's inseparable and seems like they're always on the same wavelength. Ray and I used to be so close, so affectionate. He's the kind of man who goes above and beyond to make his partner feel loved, and I never had to question his feelings for me. He's always been the romantic one, surprising me with little gifts, planning elaborate date nights, leaving sweet notes around the house for me to find. I could never have asked for a better partner. Ray has this calm and thoughtful nature that has always balanced out my more spontaneous, and let's face it, sometimes impulsive personality. When I'd get too worked up about something, he was always the one who could calm me down, get me to see reason, and help me focus on the positive. It's one of the reasons I fell in love with him so deeply. I've always felt like we were a perfect match, and we've been through a lot together, moving cities, changes in jobs, family struggles, but no matter what, Ray was always there, steady and reliable. But like any marriage, we've had our ups and downs. The honeymoon phase was magical, but as time went on, we settled into a routine. At first, it was comforting, knowing I had someone I could count on no matter what. But lately, things have changed. We've changed. The closeness we once had seems harder to maintain, and it's like life has been slowly pulling us apart without either of us noticing until it was too late. I don't know when exactly it started, but the small, affectionate moments began to fade. Ray was still the sweet, romantic guy he'd always been, but it felt like the spark we used to have was dimming. I guess I became complacent. I assumed that we were solid, that even though things weren't as exciting as they used to be, we'd be fine. But the truth is, I've been feeling restless, not just with our relationship, but with life in general. And instead of addressing it or being honest about how I was feeling, I made a huge mistake. A mistake I can't take back. I'll explain everything, but I'm terrified that I might have done irreparable damage to our relationship. I don't know how to fix this. I don't even know if I can fix this. I feel like we never truly realize what we're doing until it's too late. We never understand how hurtful our habits are until we're forced to confront the damage. Looking back, I didn't realize just how cruel my words were or how much pain they caused Ray. I used to think I was just teasing him, making jokes like everyone does in a relationship. But now, after everything that's happened, I can see how I constantly mocked him, chipped away at his confidence without even noticing. It was always small things I thought were harmless, but they added up over time. I mocked him about everything: his forgetfulness, his driving skills, his hobbies, his appearance, even his cooking. Ray is the kind of person who gets really excited about learning new things, and whenever he'd try his hand at something like cooking dinner or picking up a new hobby, I'd find a way to turn it into a joke. I thought it was funny, but now I realize it probably made him feel inadequate, like nothing he did was good enough. I even mocked his work achievements, something I knew meant the world to him. He'd come home so proud after completing a project, and instead of celebrating with him, I'd throw out some sarcastic remark like, "Finally done? I thought you'd be working on that forever." It was just second nature to me. I also made fun of his plans for the future. Ray is a dreamer. He's always thinking ahead, imagining new goals for himself. But instead of supporting him, I'd say things like, "Are you sure you want to take on another project you won't finish?" Again, I thought I was being funny, but what I was really doing was telling him I didn't believe in him, that I didn't think he could succeed. I even mocked him for being sentimental. He'd bring up old memories, like the time we first met, or our wedding day, and I'd laugh and say, "Oh, you're such a softie. I don't even remember half the things you do." I didn't realize how much those moments mattered to him, or how hurtful it was for me to dismiss them like that. I guess deep down, I preyed on him because I knew he loved me, and he never complained. He'd smile, maybe roll his eyes, but he never said anything about how my words made him feel. So I kept doing it. I took advantage of his kindness, his patience, because it was easier to make jokes than to actually connect. I'd grown up in a house where men were expected to be strong and masculine, where showing emotion or being sensitive was a sign of weakness. My father was that typical man's man who always had to be in control, and I think I unconsciously carried that expectation into my relationship with Ray. I thought I was being playful, but in reality, I was belittling the man I loved, trying to make him fit into this outdated idea of what a man should be. Ray isn't like my father. He's sensitive, thoughtful, and romantic. But instead of appreciating those qualities, I mocked them. I mocked his sentimentality, his softness, his willingness to show emotion, all because I didn't understand how valuable those traits really are. I didn't see how lucky I was to have someone like him in my life. And it wasn't just in private. I mocked him everywhere. At family dinners, I'd make fun of him in front of everyone. I remember once when he was telling my family about this bookshelf he built, and I made a joke about how long it took him and how many times he had to go back to the store. Everyone laughed, but Ray's smile faded. I brushed it off, thinking it was no big deal, but now I realize how humiliating that must have been for him. I did the same thing at the gym. Ray's not a big guy. He's more of the intellectual type, and I'd make jokes when he struggled with heavier weights, saying things like, "Don't hurt yourself, Superman." It was all meant to be playful, but I can only imagine how small it made him feel. I even did it in front of his colleagues, way before this new job. There was a work event, and I made some joke about how Ray always overthinks things and takes forever to make decisions. Everyone laughed, and I didn't notice the hurt in his eyes. I had no idea how much pressure he already felt to prove himself at work, and here I was, undermining him in front of the very people he wanted to impress. I did it with our friends too. I can't count the number of times I made some cruel remark about his forgetfulness or teased him for losing his keys, thinking it was harmless. But those little jabs, those moments where I tried to get a laugh at his expense, they weren't harmless. They were hurtful, and I see that now. The worst part is, Ray never stood up for himself. He never called me out on my behavior or told me how much it hurt him. He just took it, probably because he loved me so much and didn't want to start a fight. And I took advantage of that. I let myself believe that because he never said anything, it was okay. But it wasn't. Now, looking back, I can see how I was slowly breaking him down, piece by piece, with my constant mockery, and I hate myself for it. I didn't fully grasp how bad things had gotten until the office incident. Ray had just started a new job, one he was really excited about. He'd been talking about it for weeks, telling me how much he liked the team and how the atmosphere was different from his last workplace. When a work party was planned, Ray decided to take me as his +1, thinking it would be a good idea for me to meet his new colleagues. He was so proud of this new opportunity, and I could tell he wanted to show me off as well. I was happy for him, but I guess I didn't realize just how important that night was for him. The party started off fine, everyone was friendly, and I could see how much Ray fit in with the team. But then, as the drinks started flowing, I began to let loose a bit. I don't know why, but something about being in a social setting always brought out this ugly habit in me. I started making little comments about Ray. At first it was just playful teasing, or at least that's what I told myself. I thought I was being funny, charming even. But as the alcohol loosened my inhibitions, I didn't stop. I kept going, mocking him in front of his colleagues, pointing out all the things I usually joked about at home. His forgetfulness, his awkwardness in social settings, and even his enthusiasm for his new job. I could see Ray's face tighten as I kept talking, but I didn't let him lead me away or give him a chance to stop me. I thought I was just being playful, trying to be the life of the party. The problem was, I didn't know when to quit. I made one comment, though, that I realized now was incredibly hurtful. Something about how Ray tends to overanalyze everything, and how it took him weeks to decide on what shoes to wear to his first day of work, and he still ended up looking weird. The minute the words left my mouth, I felt the shift in the room. His colleagues, who had been politely laughing up to that point, suddenly looked uncomfortable. The laughter died down, and everyone exchanged awkward glances. Ray's face. Oh God, I'll never forget the look on his face. His expression changed in an instant. It immediately made my smile disappear. He had this cold, hard look that I had never seen before. His eyes were flat, emotionless, and his face turned frosty, almost like a stranger's. It was like I had crossed some invisible line, and suddenly the man I knew, the man I loved, was gone. For the rest of the night, Ray avoided me. He barely spoke to me, didn't stand next to me, and whenever I tried to approach him, he just turned away. I thought maybe he was just cooling off, that we'd talk about it later. But as the night wore on, I started to realize that this wasn't just a little fight or a moment of embarrassment. This was something different, something much bigger than anything I had anticipated. When it was finally time to go home, I looked around for Ray, ready to leave and hoping we could talk about what happened in the car. But I couldn't find him. I searched the entire venue, outside, inside, even in the restroom, but he was gone. Panic started to set in as I realized he had left me there, without a word. He didn't even tell me he was going. He just left me behind, at a party full of his new colleagues. I was mortified. I had to Uber home by myself, and that ride back felt like the longest journey of my life. I sat there in the back seat, my mind racing. I kept replaying the night in my head, going over every word I had said, every time I had laughed at Ray's expense. It was only then that I started to understand the gravity of what I had done. I had embarrassed him in front of the people he was trying to make a good impression on, the people he was going to see every day. I had mocked him, humiliated him, and I hadn't stopped even when I saw the look in his eyes. By the time I got home, I was filled with dread. The house was dark, and Ray wasn't there. He hadn't come home. I sat in our living room waiting, hoping he would walk through the door and we could talk, so that I could apologize, but there was no sign of him. That's when it really hit me. I had crossed a line, and I wasn't sure if I could ever go back. Ray finally came home the next morning, and when I heard the front door creak open, a rush of excitement surged through me. I was eager to see him, to apologize, to make things right, to fix things I had spent the entire night replaying our last moments together, rehearsing my apologies in my head. But the moment I laid eyes on him, my smile faded like a candle snuffed out by the wind. His expression was hard and unreadable. Gone was the warmth and affection I knew. Instead, he wore a mask of indifference. I felt a chill wash over me. As he moved through the house, getting ready for work, I tried to talk to him, but he barely acknowledged my presence. He seemed so focused and distant, it made me feel invisible. I had made breakfast, his favorite, but he didn't even glance at the food I had prepared. Instead, he grabbed his bag and slipped on his shoes, completely ignoring me. Just before leaving, he turned to me and delivered a blow that I wasn't prepared for. He said he wanted me out of the house, and my heart dropped. I was blindsided. I had never seen this coming. The words hit me like a physical blow, and I stood there speechless and in shock. He turned away and walked out the door, leaving me in stunned silence. I reached for my phone, desperately texting him, trying to explain how deeply sorry I was and how I never meant to hurt him. But each message was going unanswered, and that further amplified my anxiety. I decided I wasn't going to leave. I was sure I could convince him to forgive me if only he would talk to me. I stayed home, pacing the living room, rehearsing my apologies, waiting for Ray to return from work. When he finally walked through the door after a long day, my heart lifted momentarily. But that hope quickly faded when I saw his expression. He was not happy to see me. He reminded me that he had told me to leave, that he was done with being mocked and embarrassed by me. I needed him to listen, to understand my genuine remorse, and I pleaded with him to tell me why he was so upset. Despite all my efforts, he was still so angry. With each attempt I made to explain myself, it felt like we were speaking different languages, and I could see that he was shutting me out. After a long, painful back and forth, I finally realized that I was losing him. Eventually, he made it clear that he wanted me to pack my things and go. I could hardly believe it. I packed a bag. I felt this huge sense of defeat wash over me. I cried a lot. I wanted him to see how devastated I was, but he just ignored me. I headed to my friend's place and have been crashing here since. I really don't know what to do or how to fix this, Reddit. I feel completely lost. I keep replaying everything that happened over and over in my mind. Every mocking comment, every time I joked at Ray's expense. I never thought it was that big of a deal, but now I see how much it must have hurt him. Being at my friend's is a little comforting, but it doesn't change the fact that I'm away from Ray. I keep worrying about him, how he's feeling, what he's doing. Is he okay? Is he angry? Has he already moved on? The thought of losing him completely makes my stomach turn. I want to fix this. I want to apologize and show him how much he means to me, but I'm scared it might be too late. I know I have to change the way I treat him, but how can I convince him that I really want to? I never meant to hurt him, and now I feel like I've messed up everything. I've been talking to my friend about what happened, trying to get some advice, but nothing seems to help. Should I give Ray some space, or should I reach out again? What if he really means it when he says he wants me out of his life? The uncertainty is killing me. So Reddit, I'm asking for your advice. How do I talk to him after all this? How do I show him that I can change and that I truly care? I can't stand the thought of losing my husband over my thoughtless words, and I'm really desperate for help. Update. Hey Reddit, I was right, I guess. I knew I would get bashed on here for sharing my story, but I didn't expect it to blow up like this. The responses have been overwhelming, and I even got DMs asking for updates, so here I am, updating you all. First off, I'm still at my friend's place, but my time here is running out. It's not a permanent solution, and I can't keep imposing on her. It's hard to live out of a suitcase and feel like a guest in someone else's home. I've been trying to figure things out, but it's tough. The reality is, it seems like unless Ray comes to his senses, a divorce is in the works. I've reached out to him multiple times, hoping for a chance to talk things through, but he keeps shutting me down. He's made it clear that he's done with me and wants a divorce. Hearing those words is like a punch to the gut. I never thought we would be at this point. What hurts even more is that nobody seems to want to intervene. Neither my siblings nor his are stepping in. Even our parents are supporting him in this, which feels incredibly isolating. It's like I'm fighting this battle completely alone. Our mutual friends seem to be on his side too, which adds to the loneliness. I don't know how to navigate this when I feel like everyone is against me. Now, I'm left to try to piece my life together. I'm actively looking for a new place to stay, trying to make plans for what comes next. I'm hoping Ray will see sense and maybe reconsider, but honestly, I'm getting tired. I'm tired of waiting and worrying. I just want to fix things, but it feels like I'm chasing a ghost. And thank you to everyone who reached out with kind words and advice. It means a lot to know that some people understand. I just wish Ray could see my side too. I'll keep you all posted, but for now, I'm just trying to hold on and figure out what my next steps will be. Update. Hey Reddit, I wanted to give a bit of an update since I got served. It's been a couple of weeks, and I've honestly been so busy that I didn't update sooner. First off, I'm no longer staying with my friend. We had some issues and it just became too much for both of us, so I moved back in with my parents. Let me tell you, living with them has been annoying. They keep going on about what a good guy Ray is, like it's some kind of consolation prize for me. They support him wholeheartedly, and it's really frustrating to hear. I get that they want to be supportive, but it feels like a constant reminder of my mistakes and how I've let everyone down. I could really use some understanding right now, but it seems like everyone is on his side, and then, on top of everything, I got served. It was pretty self-explanatory, but seeing those papers hit me like a ton of bricks. I cried. A lot. I can't believe Ray is actually ending things between us just because of one stupid mistake. I mean, we've been together for 7 years. I thought we could work things out, talk it through, maybe even go to counseling or therapy. But it feels like he's chosen to throw it all away instead. I keep going back and forth in my head, trying to understand how we got here. Was I really that terrible? Did I hurt him so deeply that he can't see the possibility of forgiveness? I just want him to realize that we could fix this, that I could change. It's so painful to think that he doesn't see the value in our relationship anymore. So, yeah, I'm just feeling really lost right now. I know I messed up, but I didn't think it would cost me everything. I just wish things could be different. I'm trying to pick up the pieces, but it's hard when it feels like everything is crumbling around me. Thank you all for your support, however little they may be. It really helps to know I'm not alone in this, even if it feels like it sometimes. Update. Hey Reddit, it's me again. It's been a while, hasn't it? I've been really busy, which is why I couldn't update sooner, and then I accidentally got logged out of my account, so here we are. I do have a bit of an update though, something I should have shared months ago. First off, the divorce has been finalized. Yes, you read that right. Ray went ahead and threw us away. 7 years of marriage gone in 1 hour in the courtroom. It's surreal to think about. We didn't have any kids, so there was no child support nonsense to deal with. Thankfully, neither of us qualified for spousal support or alimony, and we didn't have any debts to split, so it was a pretty quick process. But still, it was painful. This was the person I thought I would spend the rest of my life with, and now it's all just over. I will never forgive him for this. I keep replaying the moments leading up to the divorce in my head, trying to figure out how we got here. How could he choose to end everything so easily? It feels like a betrayal, and I'm still struggling to wrap my head around it. I didn't think it would end this way, and the finality of it all hit me hard. As for me, I've been existing, suffering more like it. I don't have enough cash to move out and get my own place, so it's now hellish here with my parents. My brother and his family moved in, which has made things even tighter. I don't even have my own privacy anymore, and it feels suffocating. Every time I try to find a moment of peace, someone is always around. It's hard to focus on my own feelings when I'm surrounded by constant noise and chaos. I'm still struggling to save money, and that's what I'm focused on now. I'm working extra hours whenever I can, trying to put together enough for a deposit on a place of my own. I just want to get out of here and start rebuilding my life, but it feels like such a daunting task. I keep reminding myself that I need to be strong and keep moving forward, but some days it's harder than others. I feel myself slipping. I feel like I'm losing my mind. I miss Ray. I hate myself for ruining things.